podcast for women who like their reality TV trashy, their takes hot, and their minds activated. I am your host, Saron Things. How do you diddly do, my darlings? Oh, what a week it has been. We have so many fun things to get into on the pop culture front. We'll be talking about Barack cheating on Scheana, question mark. The question mark is rather important. And we have, this is a lot of Bravo. So I'll warn you right now, if you're not into that, then still stick around because I'm hilarious regardless. Okay. But anyways, we'll be talking about the Valley. Real Housewives of Orange County premiered. Real Housewives of Miami. You guys were very adamant that I start watching that. And I did. And it didn't disappoint. It really didn't. It actually shocked me. And of course, we're talking about Love Island. Love Island USA Season 7 finale. Oh, I have thoughts, I have feelings, I have emotions, but TLDR, I feel great. But before we can get into all of that, we got to start with main character things. And now that I'm looking at this, I wrote this part of the outline a couple days ago, and a lot can happen in a couple days. The first thing is hot Ethiopian man. I can say this. I'm an Ethiopian woman, and I am allowed to have opinions. I have never been into an Ethiopian man. I generally do not find them attractive. There is or an Abisha man in general, because there is something so delicate about their features. Also, I think it has something to do with the fact that my whole entire life, every Ethiopian person I met, my parents were like, that's your cousin, and that's your cousin, that's your uncle. And so every Abisha person I meet, and if you didn't know, Abisha refers to Ethiopia and Eritrea. We were once the same country. Eritrea fought the good fight, own sovereign nation, very insular nation. And yeah, that's what Abisha means. We look the same is the point, right? Like, I think we can all agree that Eritreans and Ethiopians have a very distinct look. And with the women, baddies, okay? Love it. Love the delicateness, right? Love the little button noses. Love the little noses and just like whatever. But with the men, if you're going to have a pretty face, you have to have a girthy body, okay? That's it. This has nothing to do with race, because every other African nation I'm down with, don't be gross, like I'm attracted to. I would fully give an opportunity to date me. Absolutely. I'd be like, oh, this guy's hot. I would. There have of every race. The first love of my life, an Egyptian man. They're all family to me, is what I feel. When I was like 21, I was taking summer classes at this community college. There was a lovely gentleman. He had just moved from Russia to the United States, and he was like trying to get like his credits together to apply to a 4-year university and whatnot. So we met. He was very handsome, and we hit it off. And we started dating, like dating. Our first date was beautiful. He took me to the Occidental at 21 years old. And that's not normal. It's not only like bougie, it's like old DC bougie. It's not hip in any way, shape, or form. It's just, I don't know, like you'd see Joe Biden having dinner there. To be honest, he was like at the Diplomat a little while ago. So so we were dating, but we had not had the conversation about being exclusive. And that's very important, okay? We hadn't closed things off yet, to borrow some Love Island language. So we were having a good old time. At the time, I also had a good friend. What do you mean a good friend? Sorry, but a best friend growing up. She was an Eritrean lady. Lovely lady. Like I said, Eritreans and Ethiopians, we basically look exactly the same. You'd have to be a specialist to tell the difference. But Eritreans are very beautiful. And I would argue that they're even more delicate than an Ethiopian. which is what makes what I'm about to say alarming, because I don't know where this man came from, because I'd known this bitch since I was 11. We weren't friends. He appeared out of nowhere. This cousin, and I'm pretty sure they're actual like real cousins, not like fake pretend, like genetics and whatnot. And he was fine. He was like, oh, look at me. The cheekbones. He was tall. And like, I keep saying girthy, and that sounds like I'm talking about not just like someone's full human form. And that is what I'm talking about. He was like not even muscular, just like bigger. That's all I required, just like bigger than me. And he was that. And also very handsome. Like he was pretty, but I don't know. He had the sharp jaw, cheekbones for days. So we flirted at a couple of her family functions. He told me that he was also taking classes, or had also taken classes at the same community college. And it's not something that I ever registered or really thought about. I went out one night after I had met him at a couple functions. I went out one night with a good friend of mine, and he was at the same club. And one thing leads another. We end up making out. DFMO, dance floor makeout, to all my millennials out there. DFMO. And it was fun. There's nothing like a dance floor makeout. Like when you're just drunk enough, like your adrenaline's up from all like the dancing and the movement. And it's just like, one of my best kisses of life was actually a dance floor makeout. And I'm going to name names. Trip Camden at a basement frat party, 2009, University of Virginia. I was shaken, shook, shucked. And perhaps it was because like I had just gotten there and I didn't really pregame heavily. Therefore, I had all of my wits about me. But I remember thinking, thus far, this is a good one. And you just remember like the Isn't it so fucking weird? The like little things that you remember that make you feel like butterflies and shit. Like that one memory, and the other was 9th grade. Tyler from my little private middle school that I went to, we graduated 8th grade. And now we were in 9th, all at our different schools, some public, some private. He'd gone to public. I'd gone to private. And there was just like this one night at youth group, because they're all parochial schools, like evangelical. Oh my God, we've gotten so far off course. But anywho, just wrapping this up, there was just like a moment in front of the vending machines where I was like 14 years old, and he put his hand on my lower back as I was like selecting my Welch's grape punch. And oh no, actually it was a brisk iced tea. And I remember him putting his hand on my lower back, and I was like, I became a woman. I am now a woman. I have felt what it feels like to be intimate with a man, because obviously that was the first time a man had ever touched my lower back. Man, another 14-year-old. And I had actually had a huge crush on him in middle school. Anyways, again, it was a Christian school, so he's a huge fucking trumper now. So anyways, back to the point. And we never got back to the point, because this is where I lost the recording. And it's such a juicy story too. I'll make sure to finish it on next week's episode. Guys, I just deleted everything, and I literally don't even fucking care anymore. Okay? Okay? You're not gonna break me. All right. Back to things that pop. I feel so passionately about these things, so I go so hard, so repeating it is so insane. Because, like, I feel the urge to go as hard, but I know that I already did it. Okay, so Brock cheats on Scheana. Do we believe it? No. Maybe. I don't know. 50-50. That's not me being a bitch. That is Scheana's fault for giving me decades of content of her being flaky, shallow, fuck. He, when she met him, was a deadbeat dad who hadn't seen his only two children for years, because their mother had a domestic violence restraining order against him. And he was back on like tens of thousands of dollars of child support. What am I supposed to do with that information? What am I supposed to do with knowing that the next woman had all of this information and continued on with him, and then he fucked her over? Am I to feel bad for her? Is that my responsibility? Is that a burden that I should bear? I don't know. I said this before. Like, if I described Brock to my worst enemy, they'd be like, girl, are you sure? Oh, and not to mention the brandy of it all. You literally did this to someone else. This timing is strange. She wants the Ariana treatment. She thinks that by coming forward with this right now, I'm sure obviously it helps because it'll sell her books, which she obviously did not write. Let's get that motherfucking straight. And I don't blame her for that part. I think you're getting fucked over. Try to leverage that shit for your gain as much as you can. That's wonderful. Good on her for that. But the fact that she just chose him at all, knowing everything she knows about him, she thought she was like the exception to the rule. She thought she was like special. Perhaps she laid some blame on his estranged family, the family he created. But he said that he cheated on her because he was so scared of being a father again, like whether or not he could do it. So the fact that he could fix his mouth to say those words shows that like he hasn't reflected on the situation at all. He hasn't gotten anywhere near being like self-actualized or understanding himself or his motivations for stuff. It's just like the easiest excuse you can, like low-hanging fruit, like grab onto to sweep this away and make this go away as quickly as possible and her forgive you. So and then there's also the matter of the taking food out of Lala's child's mouth for not bringing this up immediately. So I don't know whether Lala found out immediately or whether there was a delay. She should be pissed at Scheana for taking food out of her children's mouth by withholding, because this is reality TV. We have to be real. But, oh my God, I found out that Scheana induced her labor so that Summer Moon was born on the same day as Brock's child, Winter, who he's estranged from. And her saying, you now have a second chance of being a parent. That's not what this is. It's all the same chance. You have different children, but it's all the same chance. Like, you don't get to undo your wrongs by doing right with someone else. You have to do right by those that you wronged. I don't think that Scheana has like strong character or morals. I think she's shallow. I don't know if I think she's like a bad person. I don't think she has integrity. And if that's the metric I'm using to judge whether someone's a good person or a bad person, then I guess she is. I guess she is. But not in an irredeemable way. Oh my God. The thing is, forgot this, but I got an email from her publisher or whatever asking if I wanted like an early copy of her book. And a couple hours later, I saw that there was a recall. And I think people think that when in Outlook Express, there's an option to recall messages that you've sent. And I think people assume that it's like going to pluck that message from their inbox and make it so that it's like nothing ever happened. But I'm pretty sure, like from this example, they just get sent an email that says recall email, highlights the email, and it's supposed to trigger in the person, you shouldn't take this seriously. This was sent in error. This is an error message. We're recalling it. If you're recalling a car, you don't delete the car from the person's driveway, right? You give them notice. So I got one of those notices. I don't know if in that time they'd seen my social media, because that's just silly. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I've called Scheana Shay like walking, talking, chunky highlights personified for years now. You don't want to send me her book. The next subject is the Valley. It goes hand in hand with the Scheana of it all because in the past, 3 episodes of the Valley, we've all seen Scheana just standing there, wordless, useless, like a mannequin. Weird. It's very strange. Get her out of there. It's so strange. And no matter what, anything she does, anything she says, we'll read as insincere because we already know her. Get her and Lala out of here, please, for the love of God. Kristen got engaged. Everyone lost their minds. I don't understand it. We've talked about this before on my social media. Janet. Okay, let me rewind. So, Kristen gets engaged. Lovely. Every time Janet's like, she's crazy Kristen being all crazy because she's crazy Kristen. I feel this weird thing. I don't know. I don't think it's protectiveness. It's just like, how dare you, Janet? How dare you explain to me who and what crazy Kristen is? Crazy Kristen and I have been in this together for over a decade, okay? We know crazy Kristen. We know Kristen. We know Kiki. So you being like, hey, look at crazy Kristen being crazy. It's just like you're doing too motherfucking much, okay? We'll tell you when crazy Kristen's being crazy Kristen. You don't tell us, all right? You don't tell us. You just got here, girl. And we might have our qualms with Kristen. We might have our problems, our troubles here and there. But who the fuck are you, Janet? You're not going to turn us against Kristen. Kristen already turned us against motherfucking Kristen. That's over. We know that hoe. There's something about Janet I find deeply unsettling. Danny and Nia, delightful, beautiful. Brittany, selfish, cuntosaurus. You got some things you just gotta eat. Eat it, metabolize it, shit it out, and call it a day. And you can't make it other people's problem, Brittany. You learned that you weren't a part of the engagement. You immediately, once you found out they were engaged, told a man that takes joy in harming other people and ruining things for other people. Maybe perhaps that was why Luke didn't tell you that he was about to propose. I said this on my social media, but the fact that Jasmine and Brittany were like, Nia and Jenny aren't here right now, so why do we have to be? Zach was like, what are you fucking... What universe am I in that you guys have forgotten that Kristen is one of your best friends in the world and we're in Hawaii and her fiance actually planned this trip? And what does this have to do with Danny and Nia? That Brittany, from her voice and the way she was speaking, I know she was fucked up. I was just disappointed in them. Jesse, he was fine. You're not going to fool me just by being, from what I'm seeing and what you've been edited to be, is nice. I accept it. I clocked it. I'm not about to say that I like the man. I still think he is a horror, but I don't know. We shall see. I did appreciate Michelle giving us the context of when she met Jesse. He was broke, living in his apartment with his fucking Z Gallery Marlowe furniture. And he suddenly turned into Mr. Hermes throw blanket. Janet saying that Danny had sexually assaulted someone. I think I saw the Bravo docket say, in a social media post, it was what Janet has said and what the legal definition of sexual assault is. In the literal sense, the physicality of it, unwanted contact and these general sexualized regions, one of which is the butt, occipitox. And I'm pretty sure he grabbed Jasmine's wife's ass, but there's also an intent portion of things, and that's the tough part. Did this person do this in a sexual manner? Anywho, I'm not saying that any of this is going to go to court, but was it a lot to say that Danny had sexually assaulted Jasmine's wife or fiance? Yeah. I think them's fighting words. And from Jasmine's fiance's reaction to it, she did not enjoy this being the topic of conversation. This is her body. This was her experience. This was her trauma, if she even views it as trauma at all. And I think Janet, putting it in that context, when she knows how easy it is for the narrative to get really ahead of you, she's just the worst. And so what if she's a fan? Like, Janet, it's okay if you were a fan. I'm a fan. All right? Like, we're all fans of something. Like, I don't know. Jennifer Aniston is a fan of something. Hypnotism or a hypnotist. That's another topic. Even the most A-list of A-list actresses are fans of someone. So don't be so horrified by it. I think the TLDR of all of this is that Kristen is growing on me, but like at a glacial pace. It is so slow. And I fight it truly every Katie is a little weasel liar. I don't know what else to tell you. She is a little weasel who lies. That should have been the title of the episode because that's all we covered. Katie Weasel lying and lying weaseling. Also, before I get carried away on this topic, I thought that Tamra was supposed to have quit. I thought there was a whole thing where she was like, I'm not doing this anymore. It's not good for me. It's not good for my mental health. I'm now autistic and in therapy. Therefore, I cannot be a Real Housewife of Orange County. You can't tell me that wasn't a thing that happened. Any whoosy whatsits. And then we have Emily's son, who is being tested for autism and like where he is on the autism spectrum. And at this point, like the thing that triggered them trying to figure this out was because his senses get overly worked. And also he doesn't like to eat. And I can't imagine how stressful that would be to have a child who can recognize that they're hungry but doesn't want to eat. And you can see the physical ramifications of that, like manifesting in their little bodies every day. He's not growing and he's tired and Emily is really distraught by it. And I obviously don't have any children, but like I can see why that would be very upsetting. And Emily doesn't trust her because Katie had, in my opinion, lied about her son saying that she was talking shit about Heather. Her daughter had sat Emily's children, and she went back to her mother, Katie is her mother, and said, this is what the boy said. And it was like, oh, we don't like Heather because our mom says she's mean to her. And that didn't sit well with Katie. And then apparently Katie lies. And Katie lies because she's insecure. And that's like when she was sitting at that table and she keeps on talking about her relationship with these bloggers and like these podcasters and like content creators, these like me's essentially. And she keeps reaching out to these people and saying it's these people that are reaching out to her. And there are like several situations like with Tamra, and I can't even remember what it was, but it had to do with a DM, and she could have sat there and proven it. And she was like, oh, but my phone is on SOS. I can't prove that this woman contacted me and I didn't contact her because my phone is on SOS and I don't have service. And she doesn't have service for sure, but like we also have Wi-Fi. And I know she's lying because I recognize the look on her face because I've had that look on my face and I've had that panic because whenever I've lied in my life, I've gotten caught. Every time I've ever lied in my life, I get caught in like the least subtle, horrific. I don't know whether it's I'm not a good liar or whether the universe has decided that I'm just like not allowed to lie because the way I get found out, it's either like real dumb or like really unexpected diabolical. And I can go into that in more depth later. I get into more trouble trying to cover things up than I would just being honest about things. And I know this seems so simple. I've had these moments in my life where things that seem simple to other people click for me when they should have clicked a while ago. Like I remember in middle school being told that like you get demerits for doing something wrong. And I was told to sit on a stage while people were tearing down our lunch setup. And I had something to do. Like I was thirsty or I wanted to go to the bathroom or blah, blah, blah. So I got up and I left the stage and I did it once and then I did it a second time. And my teacher was like, "Are you okay? Like you're looking at me in the eyes. You're telling me you understand that you are not allowed to leave the stage, but you keep leaving the stage." And I said, "But I decided like different data points were added, and so the calculus hath changed, and I'm a person with free will, therefore I can make the best decision for myself in this moment." No. And that's when I learned, I remember her name was Miss Munar. She looked at me and she was like, no, this is why you keep not listening to me. She looked at me like I was motherfucking crazy. This was a moment I realized that I had to listen to authority outside of my parents because my parents were paying for me to be at the school. How were you the boss of me? The long and short of it is I find it very troubling that Katie at her age is lying like a teenager or a child. But I recognize the panic in her face. Oh, I'm cornered. I don't know what to do. She has this SOS thing that's like a good cover, but at the same time, had she actually wanted to show the proof, she'd be like, all right, I guess I'll find some Wi-Fi. Let me walk around for a second and figure it out instead of just planting her ass and being like, this is my one option. If I can't get service right here, right now, then what do you want? Like, it's unreasonable. And the fact that she was like, I haven't even looked up the message yet. Someone's calling you a liar. The older I get, the more I realize how important your word is, like your integrity is. Like this person is calling you a liar. You have the chance to shut them down, shove it down their throat, and you're not going to take it. Obviously, you're lying, but this is the path of least resistance if you want to just like evade immediate conflict but not resolve it. It's going to continue to be awkward. I don't like Katie. I haven't liked her since her first season last season when she was like the golf expert. And then she did that golf party and she doesn't even know how to golf in a way that isn't just, oh, I golf, but I'm like not good at it. But like me golf. And also like she didn't know she didn't know things. Like she said, my life is golf. I just thought of the option, like her life could be this thing that she's bad at. Yeah, the whole episode was basically about Katie the Weasel. And that's that for the Real Housewives of Orange County. We got to talk about the Real Housewives of Miami. Okay, so I don't think I've ever said these words before, but Larsa is correct about Marcus. After hearing that text message, after she read that aloud about, I'm going to come for you, I'll get you, I don't care about your family, you'll never see me coming. Like someone who actively wants to hurt her, who is a druggie, not to sound like an old fucking fogey, but he's like he's an addict. We've seen the white rules. So he is unwell and high and threatening Lisa's best friend of 15 years. Do I think it's weird that Larsa has any best friends of 15 years? But Lisa claims to be. So then act like it. It would be absolutely batshit crazy for you to risk making Larsa, your friend, uncomfortable for your boyfriend to maintain this very shallow friendship with this guy that is unfucking well. So I gotta agree with Larsa. First time for everything. Okay, then there's Todd and Alexia, which I find infuriating. She is such a baddie. She's beautiful. What is it? What is this spell he has cast upon her? Because she so much as said, I'm living in your fake apartment, your fake rented apartment. I'm driving your fake rented car. There's obviously some implications that what we're seeing about their life and lifestyle isn't real. And then what she said in like the first episode where he told her, like, you're going to be very appreciative that we're not together. It's in your best interest. And this makes me feel like there's some legal or financial aspect to this that I'm not seeing. Why in God's name would you have to disappear whilst this person is out of the house just because you don't like what she does for work and how you're depicted? And I don't get it. Why would you have to move in that way? Especially you were with her for 8 years in front of her son. That shit is absolutely crazy. And she is still, she says the ball's in his court because he wants to put the blame on me. But I also think that she hopes that he's going to come to her and be like, oh, I was overtaken by the devil. I lost my mind. My head was I don't know where. And we should stay married. I'm going to move my shit back in. And she'd say, okay. And it's he left in secret. That is not the kind of relationship that can be rebuilt, right? I've never seen a situation where a man or a woman has had to hide their departure and they were able to reconcile and have a decent relationship. And I have known situations too, specifically, where people have disappeared on their partners and then tried to make it work. They were both men too, of course. And of course, we have to talk about Julia and Gertie. What is going on with Julia? Why is Julia the center of the universe? Why does she need to be taken care of? She is my least favorite kind of person. She is actually the kind of person that I despise. Someone who expects something of you, period. I expect nothing from it. Ever. I take every interaction as like a blessing, a luxury. She couldn't get on a fucking Skype call or a Zoom call to find out that you're the sex of your kid. What if she had just forgotten? What if she had just forgotten? That's enough to end your relationship? Especially after she's followed up and she was like, I'm sorry I didn't get on the call. What's up? And you're like, you can see it in the press. Even with Julia and Adriana. I fucking hate Adriana. She's gross. She is a bad person. She doesn't have morals. She makes no sense. Everything comes from a place of ego. But when she sat down with Julia, she was like, Julia immediately was like, I haven't heard from you. You haven't called me. And she was like, you haven't called me either. And happy as in she didn't imagine there was any kind of strife in their relationship, that like she was actually holding something against her for not having reached out because Julia hadn't reached out either. But she has this expectation of people dropping things and being there for her and centering her. And it's like obnoxious. Everybody else has a lot going on in their lives as well. Like even Gertie acted like a bitch, or like I was extra that night and wanted to be at a dinner where there was no head count for her. Should you not just be grateful that you had a friend stand in for your partner when you needed her because you weren't good enough like to do it on your own? This person sacrificed this cancer patient who is still dealing with the trauma of her cancer. Why on God's earth would you think that like you could judge how she's showing up for you? She showed up for you. And for her to throw the water in Gertie's face, like, she is disgusting. She is a banshee. She is a hyena. She is uncivilized. God, and her opera is fucking terrible. Okay? People contain multitudes. You can be a great parent and a bad friend. It's not black and white. Like, good for her for adopting children, and not even good for her for adopting children, as if that's like some kind of like charity situation. No, you're lucky enough to have your life blessed with a child because you wanted it so badly. This child, all they did was be born. So you have this big life change happening, and you expect everyone to drop everything and center you. And if they don't, you are like taking tally. You're like writing notes. You're keeping tabs. You're keeping track. And if there's some shit I hate, it's someone that keeps track. If I'm going to do something nice for you, if I'm going to show up for you, if I'm going to pay for something for you, a dinner or whatever, I shan't ever bring it up again. Okay? Ever. There's nothing like grosser to me than treating someone to something and then using it as leverage and like expecting something else. If I buy you lunch one day, I have no expectation that you will buy the next lunch. But if you do, that's fine. If not, like I would never hold that against you because it was my choice to do that thing. It's just, it feels gross to me. I don't know. It really does. I'm sorry. And then Martina just posted like about surrogacy, something like surrogacy is just so wrong. And I'm sorry, anything that strips agency away from people, especially women, really fucking pisses me off. Oh, you're renting someone's womb. Oh, you're taking advantage of the disadvantaged. If the need for money, which we all have, every employer is taking advantage of the disadvantaged. All right. And like many people use their bodies for work. All right. Like being Beyonce is a job. The wear and tear that shit takes on her body. Being a gymnast, a professional athlete, there are things that you do that you're paid for that you know there's going to be a trade-off with the impact on your body. Why can't that be the same thing for surrogacy? It is, frankly. It abso-fucking-lutely is. Think of them as like major league fucking athletes, okay? Lots of wear and tear. Compensation. It's as if, you're plucking women off the streets, saying, here's a $5 and maybe a fucking gift card to Dave & Buster, Metro card, and you're forcing her to have your baby. That's literally not how it works. It's not how it works. And I've seen some people say, it's just nature. Not everyone's meant to have children. Go fuck yourself. That's so easy to say. Everybody is on their own damn journey. All right? And that's saying gay men aren't allowed to have biological children. Are you comfortable saying that that's just not allowed? Are you? I highly motherfucking doubt it. So please spare me. So I've had enough of these two. Julia throwing water in the face of a cancer patient. Like, this woman is still dealing with the impact of all of the chemo and the surgeries and whatever. You just threw water in her face? Are you crazy? You are an animal. You're a beast. You're not able to contextualize. You're not able to triage. You're not able to hold multiple things at the same time. I don't know. And it obviously doesn't sit well with me that the first time she's behaved in this like diabolical way was to the one black woman on the cast. It also lends itself to the whole, oh, Gertie was just there to be my support. How dare she think that she can be on the same level as me on this trip? Are you kidding me? You should be like praising her, thanking her for her being there, not like expecting her to be your fucking lady in waiting or some shit. Okay. Up next, we do have to talk about Love Island. Oh, man. What is there to say? Amaya Bryan. And I'll say this a million fucking times. As long as it was Amaya Bryan and Nicolandria in the final, like, I personally won. I would have been happy with either of them. Obviously, my soul, my heart was with Nicolandria, but Amaya also had my heart. So what the fuck am I to say about that? I truly think that her and Brian have a connection. And I really appreciate that she was told that she was too much and people didn't understand her for the majority of her time on the show. And in the last few moments, like the last few breaths, she was able to meet this man who actually saw her and like very much, I don't know, sees how special that is, because you're not going to meet many Amayas, right? Like you aren't. There just aren't very many of her. And that kind of like remarkable, pure, sweet, like loving, lovely, effervescent personality. You don't come across it very often. So when someone encounters it, and instead of being like, oh, you're too much, oh, this is a lot, they're like, this feels like home. That's your person. And that's exactly what Bryan was. Like, that's clearly what Bryan wanted. And the fact that his parents love her for who she actually is, as if she's even capable of being anything else, to be quite honest, a deserving couple won. Let's scroll back a bit and just like talk about the final four. You guys are out of your motherfucking minds. I don't understand how we got here. And I guess by like you guys, I also mean myself. Like the final four, that was insane. Nicolandria, Pepe, and Iris, she skated on by, and so did Pepe. And if you guessed that this is where I lost the audio again, you would be absolutely correct. Go to my TikTok to see my thoughts on the rest of the episode. Okay, so let's talk about Greg Abbott and Gavin Newsom and the political chess that Democrats have suddenly decided they'd like to take part in. We finally have a Democratic governor saying, "Whiny bitch." So here's what's happened. So Texas Governor Greg Abbott calls a special session to push for another round of redistricting. No new census, no population shift, just like vibes. And like by vibes, I mean raw, partisan power. The state's already heavily gerrymandered. Republicans control 64% of the congressional delegation in a state where Trump only won by like 52% of the vote. So not sure that sounds like democracy. Gerrymandering is a tool. Voter suppression is the strategy, and Republicans are running the longest of games. So let's break this down. How do Republicans stay winning? Gerrymandering is not just about like weird shaped districts. It's about like structurally rigging the game before a single vote is cast. Okay. So here is the formula. Crack Black and brown communities across districts to dilute their power. That is it. That is the formula. Then you pack urban voters into as districts as fucking possible. And then you draw these white rural voters into these sprawling mega districts that overrepresent their interests. So then you layer that on with ID laws and closed polling stations and voter roll purges and felony disenfranchisement, even though the president of the United States is a fucking felon. Then you have the Republicans' campaigning process. The cornerstone is voter suppression. It's not subtle. It's not new. It's effective, though. And this is how Republicans hold on to power even when they're losing the popular vote. In state after state, they figured out that if you can't win the voters, you can just choose them. And Democrats, for years, they've chosen the moral high ground, or we've chosen the moral high ground, and acted like shocked when it didn't hold under the GOP like fucking bulldozers. They've treated gerrymandering like it's beneath them, like too crass, it's too corrupt, it's too dirty to touch, even as their opponents have been like wallowing in the mud for decades and winning. But the tide, that may be turning. Enter Governor Gavin Newsom. He made it very clear that if Republicans keep playing dirty, California can play too. Specifically in response to Abbott's special session, Newsom dropped a warning shot. Keep going, and we'll redraw our own maps. Not just protect blue seats, obliterate your red ones. California currently uses this like nonpartisan redistricting commission, something Democrats proudly championed as we are the models of fucking fairness. But here's the thing. fairness only works if everyone agrees to play fair. So if one side is rewriting the rule book every cycle and the other is still acting like it's intramural debate club, that's not noble. It's negligence. So let me say this as clearly as I possibly can. Democratic restraint, it's not ethical when it enables mass disenfranchisement. It's not brave. It's not principled. It's cowardice dressed up as virtue. People are suffering right now because of these maps. Medicaid didn't expand in dozens of states because of Republican control, sustained by these rigged districts. Abortion bans passed in legislatures that don't represent the will of their states. Public education, like labor rights, housing, access, all gutted by lawmakers who would not have won in a fair fight. So when Gavin Newsom says we can redraw too, he's not playing tit for tat. He's saying, I won't let you hijack democracy while we hold the door open for you. And to that I say fucking good. About damn time. And there are implications, right? Let's be clear. If Democratic governors in big blue states start playing this game, like really playing this game, it could actually shift the national balance, not just by winning more seats, but by forcing the issue, by dragging gerrymandering into the open and making it a real fight. Because right now, Republicans know there are no consequences. They can carve up the maps like fucking rotisserie chickens, and Democrats will still show up talking about bipartisanship. But if Newsom goes through with this, if other Democratic governors join him, now the cost of Republican aggression, it goes up. And suddenly redistricting isn't a one-way street. Suddenly there's a reason to talk about actual reform. So it's not just because it's right? But because it's in both parties' interest. And that's what we've been missing. So I'm done with applauding Democrats for being polite while democracy burns. The idea that we preserve some like moral high ground while allowing Republicans to disenfranchise millions while we stay like cute and cooperative, it's delusional and it's dangerous. And you cannot claim to be the party of the people while allowing the people's will to be erased. So if Gavin Newsom is like finally ready to throw hands, I'm here for it. So many of us are here for it. Let the GOP know. You want to redraw? So do we. Let's make it hurt. And that's that on that. And that's been Hot Girl Things. Because hot girls know that democracy is not a spectator sport. And we're not about to let it go without a motherfucking fight. So fight. God damn it, fight. And that is our show. Thank you so much for listening. I've had a wonderful time with you guys, just like I do every week. Please rate, review, and subscribe. You heard my first 1-star review. Please get in there and fight her. I was going to say crazy shit, but you don't have to say crazy shit. Just say I'm perfect, flawless, wonderful, Gorgina. And we never got back to the point because this is where I lost